Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Mondays with Mover. Today we're going to take a look at another F-16 HUD tape of an engine failure. Another good example of crew or cockpit resource management, two F-16s working together to get an aircraft with an engine malfunction back home safely. This is a video from the late 80s. It's a HUD tape that was transferred from 8mm to VHS and then finally uploaded. So obviously the quality is not going to be great. I believe it's a Block 30 F-16. They were off the coast of Italy doing air-to-air stuff, and two reports that he has no oil pressure, which causes them to get in the checklist, point towards home, try to get a glide established. So we'll break this down. I'll leave the link in the description for the full video if you don't want to see me stopping and pausing and stuff, because that's what I'm going to do. It's a breakdown video, so if you want to watch the full thing, check out the link in the description.
3, 2, 1, flight off.
Here we go. Pilot skillfully lands his F-16 after losing an engine. Here is the HUD. This is I think that's a Block 30. It's an older, this is in the late 80s, so I don't think they had their Block 40s yet, but I think this is a Block 30. That's your airspeed on the left. He's doing 450. That's your altitude on the right. That is current G being pulled. He's in sim. That is 0.78 Mach. And then 9 Gs is how much he's pulled. Air-to-air master mode, radar altimeter, which is not active yet. And this is his position from bullseye. So he'll change this here later. And flight path marker, that's level flight. That's 5 degrees nose up. That's 5 degrees nose down. As I've said before, if you're looking for the full video, go check it out. Here's the name of it. I'll leave a link in the description. I'm going to stop frequently to explain stuff. So here we go.
Warning, warning.
Who's got the problem?
Warning.
0 oil pressure.
All right, so identify 0 oil pressure is the problem.
Snap home, playground.
All right, two's climb and snap home playground. Snap home being give me a vector or a heading to go back home. Playground being the range training officer. It's another pilot usually that's sitting at a console back at base that was probably working, if they were doing intercepts or whatever, working with them in the airspace. So he is now climbing to get a glide going in case the engine quits. So a 1-to-1, I think it was a 7-to-5 is what it was capable of, but typically you try to get a 1-to-1 if you could. But the engine's still working at this point. It's just he's climbing just in case the engine fails. And since he's pulled 9 Gs, I'm assuming that he's clean, so nothing on the wing, so no drop tanks to punch off.
Who has a 0 oil pressure, say call sign?
Cougar 2, snap home.
Whoever they're working with says, hey, who was that? It's Cougar 2.
0, 90. Climb, set, 85. 85% is 90.
Okay, so he basically tells him, go east, 090, and set your power 85 to 90. I don't know what the checklist said back in that time. It depends on if you have a Pratt engine or a GE engine, but basically the gist of it is you want to set a power setting depending on how much oil pressure you have. If it's greater than 10, yes, you can go mil power and afterburner, but if it's less than 10 or 0 in his case, you don't want to use a lot of thrust. You only use a lot of power because you can seize the engine faster. So basically use what you can. Maybe the checklist at this point said 85% max, so he just set it at 85% and left it there, and that's all the power he's going to have.
Snap home is 120 now. Take position to 2.
Okay, so snap home is 120 now, and now he's asking the range training officer to give a vector so they can get back together. So whatever they were doing, they were separated. His flight lead, and he's number 2 in the formation. You can see here he's also changed his bullseye 043 for to steer point 1 there, so he's 43 miles from where he needs. So if he gets a 1-to-1, he's got to go 43,000 feet, but that's not feasible. So he's going to get as high as he can with the power that he has.
You visual with 1. Cougar 2 negative, climbing past 14,000, 42 miles home, 0 oil pressure.
Yeah, so he's telling him, hey, are you visual with 1? I'm going to help you get together. No, I'm climbing to go home. I don't have time for this.
Copy that. Roger, continue your climb. Go to 125 bearing. And lead is out of 200.
So lead tells him, his flight lead says, hey, go to 125. I'm out of flight level 200 right now. So they were geographically deconflicted and altitude deconflicted.
Cougar 2, 1 bears 010 for about 2 miles. Why don't you snap direct home? Choose direct home, 39 miles, passing 200.
Yeah, just tell him where his lead is, then get back together.
Power setting 2.
85%.
So they're just backing him up. Hey, say your power setting.
Snap 1804 miles.
Roger, 1.
So they're helping 1, snap 1804 miles to help him get back together, giving him a cutoff vector more than likely. And 2, they're just reminding him, hey, 85%, don't forget that. Don't make sure your power setting, don't accidentally, because it's muscle memory, don't start jockeying the throttle to try to get higher.
2 is at 24,000 feet, 1.
So he hits 24,000 feet and he's 35 miles. So he's getting close to being exactly where he needs to be. Remember, the engine's still running at this point. So he's in a better position now. Not quite a 1-to-1, but still getting to a point where he can glide if the engine quits. He's down to 200 knots. So this is probably about as high as he's going to get with the power setting that he has.
Roger, 1 searching.
1's still looking for him.
11 now, 1, 3.5 miles.
And that's the RTO telling him, hey, he's left 11 o'clock, 2.5 miles.
Contact.
Good.
So he calls contact because he's got him on the radar, and that's what you will hear next is him basically saying, hey, I've locked you up on the radar.
2 crickets.
Buddy, hey gun. Visual.
So they're just going through the comm of getting back together.
Confirm you still have the same indications of 0 oil pressure?
0 oil pressure, 4 engine faults, 013, 016, 080, 040.
So he says he has 0 oil pressure and 4 engine faults, and then he reads off what the engine fault list is. So he's basically, because they can go look in the checklist, what the engine is reporting that is wrong with it right now.
Roger, continue the climb.
Sounds like a Block 40 thing.
I'm maxed out at this power setting.
Yeah, so he tells him, hey, dude, that sounds bad. Keep climbing. And he's like, well, I'm at 24,000 feet, and at 85%, this is as good as it gets. But he's getting close. Now he's 31 miles and 24,000 feet. So he's his pucker factor's going down as he gets closer.
31 miles, 24,000 feet.
Okay, we can start bringing it down.
So he says that they don't get to a 1-to-1, but the engine's still producing thrust. So he estimates that they're going to make it and says, let's start bringing it down.
And RTO, contact us off and declare us an emergency, please.
Already done that, sir.
So again, another example of cockpit or crew resource management. 1 sounds cool as a cucumber. He's like, all right, let's start bringing it down. Hey, RTO, go ahead and contact the supervisor of flying, which is another pilot that sits in the tower at the field they're going to that can back them up in the checklist, can talk to controlling agencies, can kind of coordinate and declare an emergency. And the RTO is like, yep, already got it, man, already done. And what that allows them to do is just focus on getting back home, because they have only been talking to the airspace range training officer. They have not talked to any controlling agencies up at this point. So the SOF can look over to the tower guys and go, hey, declare an emergency, get the fire trucks rolling, get all the assets in place. So that's one less thing they have to worry about.
Good. We're on the glide in. We can make it from here.
Roger.
So he lets them know, hey, we're gliding. We can make it from here. We're still producing thrust, so we're in a good spot. I'd like to be a little bit higher if it were me, but they're getting close.
Is at your right, 5 o'clock for 4,000 feet coming aboard.
So he's right here, rejoining.
Active runway playground.
3-5.
So he asks what the runway is, 35, so they're landing to the north, which puts them on a bit of a base leg.
Home plate's 28 miles on the nose.
Soft frequency, please. 1.
Channel 9.
So he asks his flight lead, hey, what's the supervisor of flying frequency? Because we're going to check in and tell him everything from me. That way he'll know what our game plan is.
Playground. Cougar flight's going channel 9. 2's got the lead on the left.
Roger.
Tells playground he's leaving. Tells 2, or tells 1, hey, I've got the lead on the left.
Let's go channel 9 and then soft's been informed.
Cougar.
Lead.
That's them checking in on the soft frequency. All right, he's got his 1-to-1 now, 22.5, 23 miles. He's in a good spot.
Soft. Cougar.
Go ahead, Cougar 2, soft.
Roger. Cougar flight's 24 miles and 20,000 in a descent. We'll come down and plan a right-hand turn, high final to a full stop.
Right-hand turn, high final to a full stop. So it's just a straight in, basically, simulated. It's not actual flame out yet. Flame out landing. He just direct entry there to land.
Copy that. Understand it's still 0 oil pressure.
Affirmative.
0 oil pressure.
Ops, Yankee maintenance.
They must be sharing a frequency with ops, because you hear maintenance trying to talk to ops.
Cougar 2, do you got the plan for him in your mind?
That's affirmative.
So this is just, again, that CRM. Cougar 2, do you have the plan in your mind? So basically, are you comfortable with it? Do you know what we're doing? You know, are we on board? Is everybody on the same page? Let's make sure that, I spoke for you just now, but let's make sure it's something that you're comfortable with, because you're the one with the emergency here.
Okay.
So now he's got his 1-to-1.
Choice
Actually,
of a high straight-in type SFO, or go over the field and do a left-hand one.
so he asks him, would you rather do a straight-in SFO or flame-out landing? So just like the space shuttle approach, where you just go straight in, or what we usually practice, which is a 360-degree descending turn, where you go over the runway and then you start a turn to a low-key position. So you start at high key, which is over the runway, low key, which is 90 off, and kind of a downwind, base key, and then final. It just depends on what his comfort level is and what he'd rather do.
Cougar 2, soft.
Go ahead.
What's your power set at now?
So just asking about the power
80%
settings
in the
again.
descent.
Copy that.
You'll get that. I mean, even though you've gone through the
Cougar 2's
checklist,
field in sight.
you'll have them ask the same question a million times. People just making sure, backing you up. He's well over a 1-to-1, which is good, because he's going to go to high key now, so straight over the field. Can't tell. It looks like there's some
Cougar 2
mountains
is
there.
starting to get some vibrations.
Starting to get vibrations, so
Number 1,
the
Yankee
engine's
maintenance.
about to shell out.
Cougar, go button 11.
Cougar switch.
And Cougar 2 is getting smoke and fumes in the cockpit now, going 100%.
Good call.
So the engine is now not doing great. It's starting to fail. It's getting smoke and fumes getting into the ECS, the environmental control system, your air conditioning ducts and all that stuff. It's starting to get into the cockpit from there. He's going oxygen 100%, so he's not breathing all that. Remember, he's got a mask, and that will help keep him from ingesting the fumes and stuff. So the motor is about to, if it hasn't already, completely seize on him.
Digital inbound dock number 1, can we check?
Can we check?
Must be
Deci Tower,
Italians.
Cougar flight.
Cougar, go ahead.
Okay, we just got smoke out of the engine.
2 is engine out, gliding in.
12 miles descending.
Okay, so 2 is engine out, gliding in. It has failed. So now he needs that 1-to-1. He's got excess energy, so he's in a good spot. As good as you can be with an engine failure.
Caution.
Rainbow dot, hold position. We got problems with Cougar flight. Cougar.
To go around, clear the pattern. We're coming in for a full stop.
So he tells him there's some other aircraft in the pattern. He says, hey, tell them to go around. This pattern's ours. We're going to full stop. We're engine out. We can't, if they screw up or blow a tire or something, we're screwed. So just tell them to go around. you know, let them go somewhere else. We're engine out. We're the priority right now.
Roger, sir. Continue as you prefer and confirm you're coming from a steady approach.
Continue as you
Negative.
prefer.
Cougar 2 is coming in for a full stop with severe engine problems.
Okay, so you will report.
Maybe a communication thing. It's not severe engine problems. He's engine out. So he could have said, hey, he's engine out. We're in emergency. You know, he needs to reiterate that.
Start in high key, confirm.
It's affirmative. He'll come into our overhead high key.
They're from a different base. If I remember right, they were TDY, so I think he just isn't sure if the controller knows what high key, low key is, so he's trying to kind of explain it to him, but I think this controller is familiar with F-16 SFO patterns.
Straight in or overhead?
Overhead.
So I asked him one more time, you want to do straight in or overhead? Overhead, okay.
It'll be an overhead high key for Cougar 2.
GCA procedure now interrupted. The aircraft is going around about 2,000 feet, presently 8 to 10 miles from the field with a right 360.
So he already sent that other guy around.
We'll be going for a
GCA is the radar pattern for approaches.
7,000 foot high key, 360 degree overhead to the left, to the east.
Yeah, so I think he's just worried about the language barrier and whether he's familiar with F-16 procedure, so he really just spelled it out. I mean, plain English, he's going to go 360 degree overhead, 7,000 feet, left-hand turn. This is the plan. Get all the other aircraft out of the way.
In this 11 o'clock, 10 notes, confirm QNH is 3002.
Okay, so that's the altimeter setting, 3002.
3002.
And for Cougar, you're number 1 in traffic, no problems.
Number 1, no problem. Awesome.
Good too.
All right, so I think he's over the field now. He's really high, especially if they were looking for 7,000, but he's got energy. You can deal with excess energy. You can extend turns and drop gear early, stuff like that. The thing is, he's going to have to alternate gear extend his landing gear because he's not going to have hydraulic pressure. But his emergency power unit, which you hear that whirring sound, is his EPU, which is, we've talked about before, hydrazine powered. That is what's currently powering his flight controls.
What about me?
And electrical systems.
And he's unable to restart.
So he tried restarting. Maybe the engine didn't seize. Maybe it just stopped. But typically firefighter frozen, you know, you're not going to try to restart it and you're not going to be able to restart it because the engine's just seized. So I don't know what his engine indications are. He might have been windmilling and the engine just quit, but he apparently attempted a restart and was unable.
On.
Checklist, please, 1.
Roger, check your EPU is on.
Okay, so again, with the CRM, he goes, hey, checklist please 1, so just back me up, make sure I'm doing this. I'm assholes and elbows flying this thing, get in the checklist and read it to me.
Check the EPU's on.
EPU on.
Roger, you're looking for...
All right, EPU, emergency power unit, EPU. It automatically turns on when the engine quits, but you can reach down and flip the switch up just in case.
210. Bring it around 6,500 feet for the low key.
All right, so he's just given him the calculations for the glide speed, 210 knots minimum, and your low-key base distances and stuff. That's all in the checklist. It's all based on fuel and store's weight.
You're doing fine.
And just, hey, you're doing fine. These dudes sound cool as ice. I mean, this is really, really good from both of them. I mean, they're both doing a really awesome job of just, hey, we're dealing with this. You know, there's no reason to panic. We're just working together to get this aircraft safely home.
Gonna aim for the first half of the runway and then bring it down.
Just helping him out. You know, you're going to aim for the first half of the runway and then bring it down because he's going to be a little bit excess energy. So we've got plenty of runway to stop.
Roger.
Check your EPU's on.
EPU on, GFS on.
Okay, so he is saying, check it again, EPU's on, and he turned his JFS on, which means he tried to start the engine. So it must have not ceased. So it must just be, it stopped, but you know, maybe his RPM is windmilling or something like that. So he's already hit high key. He's in the turn. He's very high. You're gonna have excess energy on this.
You got plenty of altitude here. Go ahead and put the gear down.
Okay, so that's one of the things when we do SFOs. If you're high on energy, throwing the gear down may help you. The only thing when you put the gear down, since you're alternate extending essentially, the nose gear won't come down until, I think it was 195 knots. I don't remember the number, but so the mains will come out, but the nose gear won't come out until you get slow. And he's still in air-to-air master mode, so he's not going to have an AOA indication or staple.
Gear handle down.
Okay, throws the gear handle down. Okay, I take that back. So he made a turn above high key. This to me would be high key.
Try it again. Gear handle down, blow it down.
Yeah, gear handle down, blow it down.
Right, slow and foot low.
Alternate gear extension.
Got 3 coming. Watch your altitude, you're doing well.
So now he's below 200 knots, the nose gear will lock. All right, so that would be high key. So he must have done a spin up high and then started because the runway heading's 350. So now he's headed towards low
Go ahead
key.
and get the tail hook down.
Tail hook down. A lot of people don't know this. F-16s, most fighters, except I think the A-10, have a hook. It's not made for carrier landings, but it's made for arrested landings, i.e. taking a cable. But you have to have some ground run before you actually take the cable. So the hook will actually keep them from going off the end. And airfields have cables at the approach end and departure end, and sometimes even into the overrun, that will stop the aircraft should he not be able to stop.
Bring her on down. Use the boards if necessary.
Yep, so he's coming on down, high on
Keep the
energy,
speed at about 200, 210.
gears down and locked. He's looking
Base
good.
key, gears checked.
Base key,
Roger,
gears
got 3
checked.
green.
So he got 3 green because he got slow enough for the nose gear to come down, and then he could speed back up because now the nose gear's down and locked. So it's just, it won't extend if it's got too much air load on it. But now he's at the base key, turning back around.
Looking good.
And all this time, lead is in a chase position. He's right there with him.
Speed at about 210 and aim at the overrun.
210, aim at the overrun because you're going to aim short and you're going to bleed off all that energy.
You're looking good. Good speed. Now start bleeding it a little bit. Start cutting down your speed and
Okay, I was completely wrong. I thought they were landing 3.5, so no, this is, I was completely backwards. They said 3.5, but they're landing 1.7, so they're actually opposite direction. I must have missed that at some point when they swapped the runway around. So, yeah, they didn't do the turn. That was just the 360, so bad on me, but it's runway 17, so they're opposite direction landing here.
descent. Bring it in together. You're looking good. Bring her on down.
Yep, so you're gonna basically take half of that out, aim short, then aim in the overrun, and then aim at the end of the runway. He's probably got a speed brake over switch over in the override position, which gives him the full open speed brake to try to slow down because he's obviously 200 knots. Down to 180.
Go put her down and get in 3-point and get on the brakes.
Still a little fast. He's trying to flare it off.
Put the nose down and get on the brakes.
So his flight lead's saying, hey, get the nose down, get on the brakes. 'Cause you're
Super job.
Negative brakes, negative brakes.
no brakes. So his brakes, doesn't have emergency braking.
Cable, cable, cable.
All right, he's saying cable, cable, cable. It depends on the base. For some of them, the cable's rigged, and for some of them, you have to say cable, cable, cable so that it actually comes up. whichever case it was, you're still always going to say cable, 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 just to let people know you're about to take an arrested landing. So they can flip the switch if it hasn't been already. And it usually takes like a half second for that cable to pop up.
Down on all the way.
There you go. Cable got him. Nice.
Cougar 1, soft, say your gas.
Cougar 1's got 1.2.
All right, so the SOF is now, okay, I see he's safe. Now I've got to worry about one, the runway shut down. I don't know if there's multiple runways or not, but the runway is now shut down. So I've got to know how long he can hold before he has to divert so he doesn't have a fuel emergency himself.
Copy 1.2.
Roger.
Amen.
Amen. Awesome. So that's it. Really awesome job out of both of them. Just a good crew coordination, backing each other up, getting the aircraft safely on the ground. I guess I missed where they swapped the runway around, so bad on me for that, because I thought they had said 3.5, so I screwed that up, but it's kind of hard to see with 1980s video technology. But either way, it wasn't a hit on them. They did a great job, and they were doing exactly what they needed to do with the energy that they had. They had plenty of airspeed and altitude, which was good. It's a little bit harder when you're low and a lot slower. So great job getting the airplane on the ground and getting everything safely stopped. So awesome stuff. Anyway, well, that'll do it for today's Mondays with Mover. I hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown. If you did, let me know in the comments what you thought or what you'd like to see on future episodes. Thanks, Lee, for sending me this video. It's awesome. I had not seen it before. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.